Hey, fight fans. I hope you're doing well today. Thank you for joining me. Today, I wanted to talk a little bit about scoring a boxing match and a little bit of the controversy that has surrounded the Dmitry Bivol, Artur Beterbiev fight that was held in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia on Saturday. Of course, by now you know that Artur Beterbiev won a split decision in that fight and became the undisputed light heavyweight champion. And it caused quite a bit of controversy. And so I wanted to go through that, and I wanted to talk because one of the things I see a lot that happens in boxing when there is a close fight and a controversial decision is people will throw out the CompuBox punch stats. I want to start by saying I think the CompuBox punch stats have been a great boon to boxing journalists like myself, and we can use it in our stories, and we can point out facts, and we have statistics that we never had before they existed. It is fantastic. It is incredible, and I just want to see their success continue to grow. But there is a danger in using them because those are supposed to be a guide for how a fight went, not for how to specifically score a fight. Now, I'm going to use a generic example first when I start here, and hopefully this will make you understand, and then we'll get specifically into the Beterbiev-Bivol fight. And I should mention, I scored the fight for Bivol. I had it 7-5 for Dmitry Bivol in that fight. I thought he won the fight. But to me, it was a fight that could have been 7-5 either way or 6-6, right? The 8-4 scorecard that Pavel Cardini turned in, I thought was kind of off. But let's talk about this generic fight, first of all. We have fighter A on the one hand and fighter B on the other hand. And fighter A is the boxer. He's not the puncher in the fight. And fighter A is very consistent. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that every round from 1 through 12, fighter A lands 12 punches. So CompuBox scores him, and they give fighter A credit for 12 punches landed in rounds 1 through 12. That turns out to be 144 punches connected. Now let's go to fighter B. And he is the more powerful guy. He has the harder punches. Fighter B, in 10 of the 12 rounds, lands 7 punches, but he has 2 really big rounds. In the 6th round, he really flurries, and he lands 40 punches. In the 12th round, he really flurries, and he lands 40 punches. So in that particular case, when we add it up, that fighter has landed 150 punches. He has been outscored in 10 of those rounds, and yet he has more total punches landed. So in both cases, you cannot score the fight based on how many punches were landed in one round or how many punches were landed in a fight. And let me explain this to you. Power is a scoring criteria in boxing. The effectiveness of a punch is a scoring criteria in boxing. So it's too bad for somebody who doesn't hit hard because it's a more difficult journey for them to get a victory, right? If you're fighting somebody like Beterbiev and you're a good boxer, but you're a light puncher, you're going to have to do a lot more than Beterbiev is because he hits you with one punch and maybe buckles your legs or backs you up or makes you move. That is going to change the way the fight goes, and the judges are ordered to score that, right? And that's something that is best seen at ringside. I have scored thousands of fights sitting at ringside, either MMA or boxing, and I have been there, and you can see a lot better the power of the punches. Sometimes when you're as close as the judges are, you can feel those punches land, whereas on TV, a lot of times you don't get that. TV has other benefits to scoring a fight because you see replays and you can see slow motion and you can figure things out that you can't live. But when you are there, there is nothing that beats sitting right there to see the power of those fights. But let's take my example where I said one guy is out punching another guy 12-7 in 10 of the 12 rounds. Are we automatically going to assume that fighter A, because he landed 5 more punches in each of those rounds, he should win those rounds? And I say no. I don't think that you can arbitrarily do that. Maybe you do that. Maybe you say, yes, this fighter landed 5 more punches, ergo he won the round. But you have to consider the velocity of the punches and the damage. And there's a question that a lot of times you ask yourself at the end of a round: who would you rather be? Would I rather be fighter A at the end of that round, or would I rather be fighter B at the end of that round? So it depends a lot of times on the type of punches that are landed in the round. The rounds are scored individually, and you'll see the referee, if you watch carefully on TV, and if you're a longtime boxing fan, you know this, but I want to say this for people who don't know. You'll see the referee, or you'll see somebody on the outside go over, and they will collect the judge's scorecard, and they bring it to the commission, and they give it to the commission at the commission table. And that is so that the person who is recording the scorecard can put the judge's cards in each round as they go. And so if you win the first 7 rounds 7-0, and then the last 5 rounds, there's not a knockout or not a knockdown, it's going to be hard for that other person to win the fight, right? No matter how many more punches they land in those rounds. So there is more to scoring one of these fights than just the number of punches landed in a round. I think that is vitally important. Now let's look at the Beterbiev-Bivol fight and what happened in that fight. So total punches in that fight, according to CompuBox, Dmitry Bivol landed 142 punches out of 423 punches thrown. He connected on almost 34% of his shots, 33.6% of his punches, according to CompuBox. Artur Beterbiev landed 137 punches, so 5 fewer over 12 rounds. He threw 682 punches. He connected on 20.1% of his total punches. Now, if we break it down into power punches, by the way, is anything that is not a jab. Beterbiev landed 90 of 306, connecting on 29.4%. Bivol landed 84 of 168, 50%, right? He connected on 50% of his power punches in the fight. Bivol also connected on 22.7% of his jabs. Beterbiev connected on 12.5% of his jabs. Okay, how do we use that information? In scoring a fight, that information is useless, right? Because we are scoring the fight as it goes. So the final punch stat report is useless. Now, the punches in the round, now that gets a little more important. Again, it's not the be-all, end-all, but it starts to get a little more important. So let's go through the Bivol-Beterbiev fight round by round. Round 1, I think most people agree Bivol got off to a great start, and he actually won rounds 1 and 2 on all 3 scorecards. And when you look at the punch stats, that tells you that he should have. In round 1, Beterbiev connected on 4 punches total out of 33 thrown. Bivol connected on 14 punches total out of 39 thrown. That is clearly an Dmitry Bivol round, and the judges all scored that round for Dmitry Bivol. Round 2 was very similar. Bivol connected on 12 of 47 in round 2, Beterbiev 6 of 41. Clearly a Dmitry Bivol round, and Dmitry Bivol won that round on all 3 scorecards. Now is where it starts to get tough. We go into the 3rd round. Beterbiev connects 13 of 68 punches. Bivol connects 12 of 42 punches. So Bivol landed slightly less, 1 less, but he connected at a significantly higher percentage rate, almost 10% higher rate than Artur did. So who do you give that round to? All 3 judges gave that round to Artur Beterbiev. Now, do we blame them for giving that round? That is what I would consider a swing round. But Beterbiev had a lot of the harder punches in that round. There's no question about that. So I think when you look at that round, there is some agreement in that round. You can say, yeah, okay, that, maybe I can have given that one to Beterbiev. But as I go through the rest of the fight, listen to this. 4th round, and I'm going to talk total punches here. Fourth round, Bivol 11-10. Fifth round, Bivol 11-7. Sixth round, 9-9. Seventh round, Beterbiev 17-13. Eighth round, Beterbiev 12-7. Ninth round, Bivol 15-13. 10th round, Beterbiev 10-9. 11th round, Beterbiev 21-15. 12th round, Beterbiev 15-14. What did you notice about most of those rounds? The total punches landed were very, very close. When there was a discrepancy of 6 punches or more, the judges all agreed on those rounds, and they gave it to the fighter who landed that many more punches. But when the rounds were close, that's where there was some dispute. Like we go into the fourth round, Bivol lands 11 to Beterbiev's 10. 2 judges scored that round for Dmitry Bivol. 1 judge scored that round for Artur Beterbiev. We go to the 7th round, which to me was perhaps Beterbiev's best round of the fight. Beterbiev outlands Bivol 17-13. He wins that on 2 scorecards, but Bivol won that round on 1 scorecard. So the judges are looking for things more than simply the volume of punches landed. And there's effective aggression, and that is a big part of it. And part of effective aggression is the percent at which you land, right? But it's also what impact those punches are having on your opponent. So the controversy that's going around by, well, Bivol landed more punches in more rounds, I don't think holds water. I do think Bivol won the fight, but it was close, and it's a fight that could have gone either way. But try to understand that they're scored as units, and the judges turn those scorecards in immediately at the end of the round. So when that is turned in, that round is in the books, and they can't go back to that. They don't have any chance to change it. And I thought about this later, and I want to change it. It is what it is. And I think that's where you're going to enjoy the fights a little more, and you're going to be a little bit less upset when you understand that the rounds are scored as a whole. Now, scored as individuals and not the fight as a whole, excuse me. Should there be a thing at the end of a fight in a draw where where they say, I'm going to have the judge pick a winner? Perhaps, right? That might be a way that we can pick a winner. We say, okay, I've scored each of these rounds individually, but now not having my cards in front of me, not knowing exactly how I have that fight scored, who do I think won that fight? And so, usually it's going to be the person that you wrote down round by round, but sometimes you sit there and you go, I just thought this guy was more effective and did the more damage in the fight, and I'm going to give him, and it turns out he might have been the one that landed fewer punches in the fight. I hope that makes sense to you. I hope you enjoy that. I hope it helps your understanding. But boxing is an incredibly difficult sport to score. And it's made more difficult by the fact that sometimes when you're watching on TV, you can't see one of the biggest criteria, the hard punches. A lot of times that's very difficult to determine on television. So, it's a tough sledding for us fight fans out there trying to figure out what's going on. But I appreciate everybody watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope that helped you, and we will talk to you guys soon enough.